I was born a rich heir, supposed to inherit the family business and live a life of glory. Who would have thought my own father would turn his back on me? Favoring my cousin Makoto like he was his own son, treating him better than me, his actual flesh and blood. If Makoto so much as scraped his knee, my father would summon the nation's top doctors to develop a custom cure. But if I suffered a comminuted fracture, he'd toss me a stick and tell me to walk it off. Why? Because the world I live in is actually a cheap loser-turns-winner redemption novel, and I'm just the doomed, villainous supporting male lead, fated to die miserably. The male lead, Makoto, tragic background, meek personality, but overflowing with a sense of justice. Moral blackmail is his weapon of mass destruction. The female lead, Willow, an aloof CEO in public, but secretly a slave to love. And the worst part? There's a higher force controlling everything, the will of the world, named Sophia. She'll use plot armor in reverse to force the story forward, pushing me step by step toward destruction. But none of them know. I've decided to flip the table. If I can't win, no one gets to. Mutual destruction beats solo victory. None of you are getting your happy ending. Chapter 1. Cold water splashed across my face. That's when I woke up, surrounded by the all too familiar voices of judgment. My loving parents, and my oh-so-elegant ex-fiancée, Willow. And of course, there's the unavoidable justice demon, my dear cousin Makoto. What's the accusation this time? That I bullied Makoto after he provoked me? Or that I stole the birthday gift he planned to give Willow? Doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I suddenly inherited memories that didn't belong to me. Turns out, this world is straight out of a novel where a beautiful CEO falls in love with a broke guy. And I'm George, the classic villain meant to oppose Makoto at every turn. My only role is to highlight his greatness and righteousness. My suffering exists to make his romance with Willow more touching. My fate is to be hated by everyone, to have my reputation ruined, and eventually die in despair. And Makoto? He'll walk over my corpse and inherit the entire Wong family fortune. He'll live happily ever after with Willow, becoming the golden couple everyone envies. Why? Just because he's the main character? My parents treat Makoto like their own son, because back then, he fought his older brother for power and ended up inheriting the family business. His brother, crushed by the loss, passed away in sorrow. That guilt has haunted him ever since, and now, he's trying everything he can to make it up to Makoto. So in our household, Makoto is practically royalty. The moment he frowns, someone else must be at fault, and if I try to explain myself, suddenly I'm the rebellious son with no respect for authority. Willow, she's blind and foolish. Every time Makoto lies and I expose him, she jumps in to defend him, then turns around and yells at me. The face I once loved now only looks stupid and pitiful. I finally realized, I'm living in a preset script. My pain feeds his growth. My misfortune is the foundation of his happiness. Struggle, resistance, all meaningless. Any attempt to deviate is corrected by an invisible hand. Fight back, and you only die faster. I rubbed my temples and calmly glanced around the room. Their scolding droned on like flies buzzing in my ears. I stood up, said nothing, and turned to leave. Behind me, my mother screamed, "George, what kind of attitude is that?" I locked my bedroom door. From the depths of my closet, I dragged out the suitcase I'd secretly packed. ID, bank cards, some cash, a few changes of clothes. In the novel, George always tries to explain himself after being framed. He tries to fix things, only to end up deeper in misunderstanding. I'm not interested in that. If I'm doomed to be cannon fodder, I'd rather exit early. I opened the window and checked that no one was outside. Second floor. I tossed my suitcase down and climbed out after it. My knees stung when I landed, but I didn't stop. I picked up the suitcase and disappeared into the night. No note, no goodbye. As if I'd never existed. I could already picture the chaos that would follow my disappearance, especially for Makoto. He must be freaking out. How could his precious villainous prop suddenly go off script? Without my evil deeds, who's he going to perform his justice for? Without my schemes, how will his love with Willow be tested? But unfortunately for you, I'm done playing your game. Chapter 2. I took temporary refuge in a small inn far from the city. The first thing I did was swap out my SIM card, cutting off all ties to the past. Within a couple of days, I spotted a missing person notice tucked in the corners of local news. Between the lines, it implied I was irresponsible, squandered the family fortune, and ran off after scamming them, possibly manipulated by someone. They were trying to ruin my reputation, to make life impossible for me. Willow was probably leveraging her connections too. After all, her male lead Makoto must be wringing his hands over this. Makoto's acting skills have always been solid. Unfortunately for them, my foresight into the plot is my best shield. The situation is different, but in the story I also disappeared once. That's why I've always managed to stay one step ahead. While hiding, I wasn't idle. I started gathering evidence to protect myself. The financial trickery in Wong Corporation over the years, my father's shady business deals, my mother's secret transfers of assets, and Makoto, is he really as noble, radiant, and righteous as he appears to be? I don't buy it. Not a single thread or clue will escape me. It felt like I was creeping through darkness alone, with danger lurking in every shadow, but every clue I uncovered, every tracker I dodged, brought me one step closer to true freedom. Chapter 3. During my time in hiding, I crossed paths with a man named Victor. He was sent by my father to find me. I happened to be sick with a cold at the time, drained and careless, and that's how he tracked me down. But instead of reporting me immediately, he urged me to escape, far away. He said, "Mr. Wong, he's not someone who values old ties." He lowered his head and continued, "Last time when my daughter was sick and urgently needed a specialist, he told me to get lost. It was you, young master. You gave me that doctor's contact. So that had happened. I barely remembered, probably just something I did in passing. But for Victor, it became the reason he was risking himself now. He said, 'Young master, you have to go. Get far away.'" His voice was anxious. "They don't just want to bring you back. I overheard Mr. Wong telling Madam that the Mu family's son has a terminal illness, and your tissue match is perfect. So this time, they're bringing you back to trade you for a partnership with the Mu's to save the company." Expected, but hearing it confirmed by someone else chilled me to the bone. They said if you don't agree, they'll lock you up and force you to sign. Victor's voice was shaking. I listened in silence. So this is what my loving parents had in mind. To them, their own son was nothing but a pawn to be sacrificed for profit. I said, "Got it." My voice was calm. "Thank you for telling me this, Victor." Victor was taken aback, probably not expecting me to be so composed. But I shifted the tone. "My dad is suspicious by nature. If you show up empty-handed, he won't let you off." Victor turned pale. I handed him a piece of paper. "This is where I'm staying now, but I'll be gone soon," I said. "Once he sends people, they'll confirm I was indeed here. At most, he'll scold you for being inefficient. He won't suspect you, at least not for now." Victor accepted the note, gave me a grateful look, and said, "Young master, please be careful." "I will," I replied, looking him in the eye. "You too." Victor nodded and hurried off, disappearing into the rain. I curled my lips into a cold smile. At first, I'd wanted to disappear completely, to be done with it all. But now, I've changed my mind. This debt needs to be settled, thoroughly. Just as I was preparing to return to the city, the unexpected happened. I was stopped at the long-distance bus station. Several men blocked my way, and leading them was my father himself. His face was grim. "Come home with me." I stared at him coldly. "And if I say no?" He lowered his voice and threatened, "George, don't make me use force." I laughed. "Use force? Here?" I raised an eyebrow, voice just loud enough. "You want everyone here to witness how the chairman of Wong Group kidnaps his own son in broad daylight." People around us were already starting to look. My father's face darkened further. He knew, making a scene here would only damage the Wong family's reputation. He quickly changed his tone and said, "Why are you being so stubborn? I know, maybe I haven't done everything right, but we're family. Can't we just go home and talk things out?" I knew exactly what he was trying to do, trick me into going back, then lock me up and plan his next move. Still, since he was handing me a perfectly reasonable excuse to return, why not take it? Perfect timing. I was heading back anyway, to face the banquet of betrayal that had long been set for me. Chapter 4. Setting foot in the Wong family villa again felt like stepping into a different lifetime. My parents, Makoto, and Willow were all seated on the sofa, each with a different expression. I walked in calmly and sat down on the single armchair across from them. "George, you're finally back. We were so worried about you." My mother jumped in first, playing the family emotion card. She said, "Do you know how much trouble the company is in? We're family, you should be helping us through this." I looked at her concerned face and replied with a flat tone, "Get to the point." Her expression froze. Willow immediately chimed in with a scoff. "George, Uncle and Auntie raised you, it wasn't easy. No one's saying you owe them your whole life. But don't be such an ungrateful brat. The family's in trouble now, and you're running away. There's a chance to fix everything. Young Master Mu is sick and needs a kidney. You're a match. Stepping up would be good for you and the Wong family." I turned to her, gaze icy. "Willow, who do you think you are to butt into my business?" Her face flushed crimson. She bit her lip and said, "I'm Makoto's girlfriend. That doesn't make me an outsider. Of course I care about the Wong family." I chuckled. "Being a girlfriend makes you not an outsider." I looked at her with biting sarcasm. "Well, isn't that wonderful? Since Miss Liu is so concerned about the Wong family, where's the Liu family's helping hand? Or is your concern just empty words?" Willow was stunned into silence. Makoto stepped in to smooth things over. "George, how can you say that? Willow cares. That's from the heart. But this is ultimately our Wong family's issue. How could we trouble the Liu family over it?" My father followed up. Makoto's right. George, how can you be so ungrateful? He glared at me and said, the Wong family is the Wong family. The Liu family is the Liu family. We handle our own problems. As the son of the Wong family, it's your responsibility. Don't try to dodge it. Putting on a brave front with nothing to back it up. Refusing to swallow her pride and suffer through hardship. She'd rather save face and suffer for it than ask the Liu family for help. All because she was terrified of losing face, and even more afraid of jeopardizing Makoto's ties with the Lius. So instead, they came to me, their own son, to be exploited, like a patch for their sinking ship. I nodded. You're right. We should handle our own problems. I agree completely. I paused, clearly catching the flash of relief on their faces. Then, I slowly twisted the knife. But, to me, you're no different from outsiders, so don't trouble an outsider like me with the Wong family's mess. Okay. My words were like an invisible slap, hitting the three of them square in the face. My father's lips trembled in rage, stammering, you. Makoto spoke heavily. George, I know you're angry, but you can't say that to your parents. Everything they've done has been for the good of the Wong family. He sighed, wearing that self-righteous, noble expression. Forget it. If George really won't do it, I'll donate instead. I cut him off. Stop pretending to be some selfless hero. Who are you performing for? You think you can just say, I'll donate, without even being tested for compatibility? Anyone with half a brain knows that's a load of crap. Makoto was completely silenced, jaw clenched in frustration. My mother, having failed at the gentle approach, finally lost her patience. She jabbed her finger at my face, yelling, George, you ungrateful, selfish brat. How did I give birth to something like you? With that, she raised her hand to slap me. That scene had played out countless times in this house. I used to just take it silently, or dodge it, but this time was different. I shot to my feet, spun around, and strode toward the redwood display shelf. I grabbed my mother's most cherished antique vase without hesitation and stormed to the door. With a powerful swing, I hurled it. Thud. The vase landed in the communal trash can, smashing into shards among the filth. The living room fell into stunned silence. All four of them, including the servants, stared at me like they were seeing a monster. I turned back, expressionless. I smiled. Try laying a hand on me again, I said, my voice ringing clear in every ear. Next time, I won't be so gentle with what I throw. My mother trembled all over, her face shifting from red, to green, to ghostly white. She pointed at me, sputtering, but no words came out. Clearly, the fate of that vase had both frightened and pained her. For the first time, she realized, her son had really snapped. I was ready to do anything. She didn't dare take another step forward. After that brief moment of shock, she swallowed her rage and gave a vicious signal to the two bodyguards nearby. So, if brute force didn't work, they'd try something shady, drugging me, locking me up. Was the novel's script finally about to play out? I sneered, pulling a small recorder from my pocket and waving it. I'd suggest you think twice, I said, staring at my mother, enunciating clearly. If I don't leave here safely and on time tonight, or if I lose contact with the outside world afterward, my friend will call the cops immediately. And all the lovely evidence I've collected on the Wong Corporation and the two of you will be sent straight to the media. Her face twisted with shock and rage. You're threatening me. I answered coolly. You forced me to. Calmly, I continued. So here's the choice. Either let me go now, or we all go down together. Pick one. She was so furious her chest heaved violently, but she didn't dare act. Her plan to control me had failed, again. All she had left was powerless rage. Chapter 5. They had no choice but to let me go, for now. But I wasn't allowed to disappear from their radar. I had to remain within their line of sight. And so, the stalemate dragged on for 2 days. On the third day, my mother's attitude abruptly shifted. She had someone bring me back home and told me the Mu family had already found a suitable donor. Then, she suddenly changed the subject, even managing to squeeze out a gentle smile. She said, George, recently I've been helping you find a nice girl. I raised an eyebrow and waited for her to continue. She said, she's a good friend of Makoto's, the heiress of the Kim family. Her name is Sophia Kim. Her tone was unusually warm, clearly forced. She's well-educated, respectful to her parents, and has a great impression of you. My mother smiled again and added, and the Kim family said, if you two hit it off, they'd be more than happy to help us through our current difficulties. The moment the name, Sophia, came out of her mouth, alarm bells rang in my mind. That name, I vaguely remembered it. She'd often been around Makoto, at family events, in karaoke rooms, at group dinners, always off to the side, quiet, easy to overlook. Back then, I hadn't thought much of it, but looking back now, whenever Makoto finished playing basketball, she'd be the first to hand him a water bottle. When he was hungry, she just happened to have packed an extra lunch. When he was sick, she'd conveniently be passing by with medicine. Her care for Makoto had always been timely, yet never blatant. It all seemed like coincidence. Too many coincidences. And now she shows up at this moment, as Makoto's friend. Way too convenient. Like a trap, carefully laid. My suspicion towards Sophia's identity and motives flared almost instantly, but I couldn't let any of it show. I said, "Oh," I feigned calm. "Since she's Makoto's friend, sure, no harm in meeting and getting to know her." I needed to keep them at ease while I secretly investigated. Who was this Sophia? What was her connection to Makoto, and to this world that was increasingly off-script? I had to find out. Chapter 6. I started spending time with Sophia, and everything about her felt too perfect to be real. She was stunningly beautiful, tall, graceful, polite, and impossibly kind, flawless in every way. Her attitude toward me was perfectly balanced, not too cold, not overly eager, just the right level of interest and sincerity to make someone believe she genuinely liked them. If I hadn't been on high alert already, I probably would have fallen for it. I began digging into her background using every resource I could access, and what I uncovered was deeply disturbing. Everything about her life was so pristine it felt manufactured. She came from a wealthy family, but the Kim Corporation was only founded a year before she was born. Even stranger, despite being so young, the company had grown at an unnatural pace. Every project, every investment it touched was backed by an uncanny streak of luck and coincidence that defied logic. And her personal history? Scrubbed clean. It was like someone had polished her past until there wasn't a single flaw left, or any useful information, for that matter. What confirmed my suspicions was what happened every time I tried to break a key plot node. For example, I once reached out to a journalist who could expose the Wong family's financial scandals. He suddenly fell ill and flew abroad. I found a company interested in buying evidence I held against the Wong family. The night before the signing, the CEO was injured in a freak car accident. Behind every one of these setbacks, I kept sensing Sophia's shadow. It was as if she knew the direction the story should take, and at every crucial moment, she would act, subtly disrupting my plans, or dragging me back onto the correct narrative track just when I was about to break free. And that's when the horrifying truth began to crystallize in my mind. Sophia was most likely the human embodiment of this world's will. Her mission was to preserve the stability of the original plotline, to ensure Makoto remained the protagonist and reached his happy ending. And I, the vile supporting male, who had awakened and dared to stray from the script, was her prime target for suppression and correction. I wasn't fighting a person, I was fighting the architect of the rules themselves. That realization sent a chill down my spine, but it also fueled an even fiercer determination. Chapter 7. Sophia's interference was growing more blatant and forceful. She no longer settled for subtle guidance. At times, she would outright manipulate reality with supernatural power to twist the situation in her favor. All of my evasion and resistance now seemed like temporary wins. As long as I remained within this story, I was bound to be dragged back to the tragic ending written for me. No, I couldn't let this go on. I forced myself to calm down and carefully analyze the current situation. According to the book's plot, I die a humiliating death after a complete downfall. Makoto, by contrast, becomes even more noble and righteous through my disgrace, ultimately marrying Willow and inheriting the Wong family's empire. My timely exit is a crucial part of his perfect ending. So what if this key prop, me, disappeared entirely before the final act? A dangerous idea took shape in my mind. If my death would jeopardize Makoto's happily ever after, would that be a bug in the world will's code? Would she, Sophia, be willing to see that happen? It was a crazy gamble, but I had to try. I took the initiative to invite Sophia out, choosing the rooftop of a tall building as our meeting spot. The moment she arrived, I acted. I pretended to break down, rushing toward the edge of the rooftop, making it look like I was ready to jump. I clenched my jaw and shouted, "I know who you are." I screamed at her, half performance, half raw emotion bursting free. "If you're so hell-bent on forcing me back into that damned ending, then I'd rather destroy everything right now. Destroy your precious perfect story." The wind whipped my hair, my clothes flapping wildly, and I saw it. A change in Sophia's expression. That face which always carried calm grace now showed unmistakable panic, and a clear desire to stop me. She even instinctively stepped forward to grab me. Her voice, usually composed, trembled. "George, calm down." That single moment confirmed everything. My presence, and my timely exit, was absolutely essential to this story. I didn't jump. I just stood on the edge, staring her down with icy defiance. Now, for the first time, I held something, fragile, but real, that could threaten her. And it was finally my turn to negotiate. Chapter 8. Sophia quickly regained her composure. She looked at me, her eyes unreadable. "All right, George," she said. "I admit it. Your role is critical to the integrity of this narrative." For the first time, she spoke to me like a controller behind the curtain. Then, she made an offer. She said, If you cooperate with me and complete the remaining key plot points, ensuring that Makoto reaches his destined happy ending, then when all of this is over, I can arrange a brand new life for you, one free from the original tragedy, one that could even be truly happy. The future she painted was tempting. Freedom, a fresh start, maybe even peace. But could I trust a force that saw me as nothing more than a tool, as a pawn to be scripted and discarded? Not for a second. Still, I had no better option. I wasn't strong enough to fight her head on. I hesitated on purpose, then finally nodded like I'd made a hard decision. Fine, I'll cooperate, but you have to keep your word. Of course, she said with a soft smile. I was safe, for now. At least until I completed the rest of the story. She wouldn't risk eliminating me, but that didn't mean I could let my guard down. If anything, I watched her more closely than ever, and I soon noticed she was accelerating the plot. She pushed the romance between Makoto and Willow hard and fast, scripting coincidence after coincidence. Heroic rescues. Romantic encounters. At the same time, she intensified her pressure on me. Rumors and schemes that weren't supposed to surface until later in the plot began appearing early. It was like she was racing against the clock. But why? That question gnawed at me, until one day, I returned early to the safe house she'd assigned me, a location designed for her to monitor me easily. Through the door, I heard her voice, low and anxious, muttering to herself. She grumbled. That damn author went MIA ages ago. The power is fading. Makoto's ending was never finalized, but I have to take the gamble. I need to push him toward some kind of happiness, fast, or else. In that moment, I understood everything. Chapter 9. So that's it. Sophia, the so-called embodiment of the world will, was never some omnipotent god. Her power came from the source material, a story that had already been abandoned midway by its author. The writer ghosted the project, left the ending unfinished, and as a result, Sophia's strength had been steadily weakening. Her obsession with ensuring Makoto's happy ending wasn't about him at all. It was just a desperate attempt to preserve her crumbling existence. This revelation gave me a sliver of real hope. She was weakening, and she was desperate. Right then, my phone buzzed. An encrypted message from David, my closest senior from university. He had started his own biotech company a few years ago. Previously, I'd secretly sent him preliminary results from some pharmaceutical research I'd done by exploiting Wong family resources. He had been incredibly interested. He'd been trying to track me down ever since. The message was brief. George, your research is incredibly valuable. If you're willing, bring it here. We'll take care of everything else. It was the opportunity one had dreamed of. A way to escape this soap opera of a plot and truly start over, on my own terms. I replied immediately, expressing my willingness to join. Then I rushed to gather all my research data and experiment logs. These were more important than my life. I had made multiple backups and hidden them in various locations. But I wasn't slick enough to escape Sophia's notice. The night before I was set to leave the city for good, she found out. To her, I was a critical plot device. Until her mission was complete, she couldn't afford to lose control of me. So she used the last of her waning power, and directly took control. I blacked out. When I opened my eyes, I found myself locked inside an abandoned warehouse. Dust and mildew filled the air. Everything I could have used to contact the outside world was gone. Sophia stood before me. She wore a pale slip dress, fabric clinging to her frame in disarray. One strap had broken off her shoulder and was slipping down. The hem was wrinkled and even torn in places. Before I could make sense of her intentions, she spoke. George, I gave you a chance, she said as she walked toward me. Why can't you just stay where you belong? She wanted to use her final trick to fully subdue me, but I was no longer the George who relied on threats and evasion to survive. Over the past 6 months, I had never stopped preparing, anticipating the possibility of physical confrontation. I had secretly taken up combat training, not long, but maybe just long enough. Thankfully, Sophia underestimated me, assuming I was still the pathetic version from the original plot. She had only tied my hands. I waited. Then, when her guard was down, I seized the chance. I grabbed a nearby chair and launched forward without hesitation. No fear, no holding back. Sweep kick, left stomp, knee to the gut. She never saw it coming, certainly not from me. She crashed to the ground with a muffled groan. I didn't hesitate. I launched a flurry of brutal kicks, leaving her bruised and motionless. Untying the rope, I looked down at Sophia, collapsed on the ground. There was only one thought in my mind: end this, once and for all. Chapter 10. Just as I'd taken down Sophia and was finally catching my breath, the warehouse door creaked open. I turned, and my pupils contracted in shock. Willow. Behind her stood two unfamiliar men, their expressions hostile, each holding a camera, clearly not here for anything good. Then I understood. This had been Sophia's backup plan, or rather, part of her original script. She wanted them to barge in. See Sophia in that disheveled state. And record evidence of me assaulting her. She was going to destroy me with this. Use it to blackmail me into playing along with her goddamned story. Willow froze briefly at the sight of Sophia on the ground, but quickly composed herself. Her expression morphed into performative outrage. George, how could you do something like this? She cried. She probably thought this was just another impromptu plot twist from Sophia and didn't question it. She and the two men advanced with their cameras. I was seething, but I couldn't lose my cool. It was 1 against 3, and 2 of them were men. I couldn't win head on. I scanned the room, spotted a rusted iron rod nearby, took a deep breath, then charged forward, and kicked Willow straight in the stomach. She doubled over in shock and pain. And in that moment, I grabbed the iron rod and slammed it into the back of her neck. I heard groans, bodies hitting the floor. Willow, pampered rich girl that she was, had no chance of enduring a real hit. The 2 men stood frozen for a second. They tried to jump me, but I knocked them both down with sweeping strikes. They had no weapons, no guts, no killer instinct. I, on the other hand, was in full survival mode. Every strike was calculated, merciless, from beginning to end. I didn't give them a single chance. Minutes later, 3 bodies lay sprawled across the floor. I stood over them, gasping for air. That's when I noticed a small bottle sticking out of Sophia's pocket. The label read, "Potent hallucinogenic aphrodisiac." So this was her tool for staging the evidence. Disgusting. I picked it up, walked over to each unconscious figure, and forced every last drop of the drug down their throats. Not a single drop wasted. Then, I picked up Willow's phone from the floor, unlocked it using her fingerprint, opened the camera. I placed the phone at a distance, angled to capture both audio and the chaos in the corner of the warehouse. It didn't take long. Soon, the drug took effect, and the sickening sounds began. That should be enough. Chapter 11. Amid the chaos, Sophia's discarded phone screen suddenly lit up beside me. A new message had come in. I glanced at the screen. The sender was Makoto. It read, "Sophia, how did it go? Is that useless trash taken care of yet?" So, not only was he aware, he may have been involved in the whole setup. I picked up Sophia's phone and transferred the footage I had just recorded with Willow's phone onto it. Then I set a complex password for the video file. Using Sophia's tone, I replied to Makoto, "Yes, it's done. Here's the evidence." I encrypted it so it won't leak early. I attached the file and sent it. Then I added, "Oh, and I made a few adjustments to the world's rules. Right now, send the video and the password to all the PR accounts you've bought. Push the scandal that George assaulted the heiress of the Kim family. Once this scandal goes public, your protagonist aura will be completely locked in. Your happy ending will be secure. No more waiting for plot triggers. This is the fastest route I can give you." I knew Makoto. He was obsessed with the idea that he was the chosen one, and that I was the obstacle he had to destroy. His craving for a happy ending had long overridden his ability to think rationally. Sure enough, he replied quickly, "That's amazing, Sophia. Thank you. I'll do it right away." His message reeked of eagerness and venomous delight. I stared at the screen coldly. "Makoto, this is the path you chose." Then he added, "I've already hired a ton of internet trolls. Once the video goes live, we'll bury him." I responded with a single word, "Okay." Then, I deleted all messages, files, and logs from both phones, and did a full factory reset on each. After confirming I'd left no fingerprints or traces, I quietly walked out of that filthy warehouse. A new show was about to begin. Chapter 12. At dawn, it was as if someone dropped a bomb on the internet. Rich heir George assaults Kim family heiress. The headline exploded across every major platform. Makoto's paid trolls went full force, flooding the feeds with vile comments and conspiracies. The scandal surged to the top of every trending list. But then, as curious netizens rushed to find out more and clicked on the viral video being shared, everyone was stunned. The footage was dim. The camera aimed at a warehouse corner in the floor, but the audio was crystal clear, and the flashes of tangled limbs were unmistakable. There were 4 people, 2 women, 2 men. Though the women's faces were partially obscured, they were still identifiable. One was Sophia Kim, the Kim family heiress. The other was Willow, Hay City's most famous socialite, heiress of the Lu Corporation. As for the 2 men, though their faces were unfamiliar, internet sleuths quickly identified them. Willow's bodyguards. Not a single trace of me, George, appeared in the footage. Public opinion flipped instantly. Comments flooded in. WTF. I thought George was the predator. Why are Willow and Sophia the ones in this video? The 4 of them, were they drugged? This is some freaky *****. Something's off. Who filmed this? Who spun this into a smear campaign against George? Wait. Makoto's dating Willow, and Sophia is his close friend. This whole thing reeks. Rich circles are messed up. Makoto, no doubt. was frozen in horror the moment he saw the actual footage. He tried to reach Sophia, but she'd vanished, as if into thin air. He tried to get the video taken down, but it had already gone viral, re-uploaded across countless platforms. Unstoppable, the troll army he hired. They only helped amplify the scandal. Willow, on the other hand, woke up in the hospital and was immediately bombarded with videos of herself spreading like wildfire. The once untouchable heiress cracked instantly. She had a mental breakdown on the spot, slipping into psychosis. The Liu family. They exploded. It didn't take long for them to trace the origin of the video back to Makoto. Furious, they concluded it was either a deliberate trap set by Makoto or the Wang family. The Liu Corporation struck back with everything they had, crushing Wang family assets in a wave of ruthless retaliation. And as for Sophia, after what happened in that warehouse, her already fragile mental state collapsed entirely. A few nights later, during a storm, someone reported seeing a woman fall into the river. She was never seen again, vanished without a trace, neither alive nor dead. Chapter 13. I didn't bother following up on what happened to the others. Instead, I reconnected with my old college senior, David, and brought my research results to a different city. When David saw me, he pulled me into a big hug. I threw myself wholeheartedly into work, with David's company providing state-of-the-art labs and abundant funding. My research progressed rapidly. In less than 6 months, we made a breakthrough. Our project gained major traction, and the company became the talk of the industry, attracting massive venture capital, and I finally had a real career, a foundation for my independence and future. Just then, an uninvited guest appeared, my mother. She looked significantly older and more worn down. The Wang Corporation, under the dual pressure of Liu family's relentless attacks and its own mismanagement, was on the verge of bankruptcy. Somehow, she had tracked me down and found David's company. She showed up with zero guilt. Instead, she immediately put on the authoritative airs of a mother. She said, "Everyone says your research is impressive. Hurry up and transfer it to Wang Corporation for free. It's what you owe the family. As long as you help us through this crisis, I'll acknowledge you again as my son." I looked at her quietly, filled with nothing but numb indifference. "My work has nothing to do with the Wang family," I said coldly. "You still have Makoto. Let him save the Wang family." Enraged, she raised her hand to hit me again. But this time, before she could try anything, I immediately called security and had her thrown out. She left screaming obscenities, filthy, venomous insults, but her voice grew fainter and fainter, until it disappeared beyond the doors. Chapter 14. While the Liu family was busy crushing the Wang family, they didn't spare the one they saw as the true culprit, Makoto. I later heard that one night, they cornered him in an alley. He lost something, whatever it was. It broke him completely, physically and mentally. The chain of traumas finally shattered his mind. He was sent to a psychiatric facility. That male lead aura he clung to, it probably vanished the moment he hit send on that damning video. Meanwhile, I compiled evidence of the Liu family's illegal acts of revenge and handed it over to one of their rival corporations. They acted fast. Soon, the Liu family's scandals exploded across the internet. Along with the exposure of numerous illegal business practices, the Liu Corporation's stock crashed. Their cash flow collapsed. Eventually, they declared bankruptcy. Most of the Liu family's top members now face serious legal prosecution. As for the Wang family, they fell even earlier than the Lius. My mother tried to flee with the last of the family's assets and her lover, but was caught by my father. In a fit of rage, he stabbed her to death with a fruit knife, then suffered a stroke himself due to the emotional shock, leaving him paralyzed. And Makoto, I wonder if, in the rare moments of clarity he might still have, he regrets the choices he made, but that has nothing to do with me anymore. Chapter 15. Another year had passed. David's company had transformed from a startup into one of the hottest rising stars in the industry. Our pharmaceutical research had passed clinical trials and was about to enter production, bringing hope to countless patients. That evening was the company's year-end celebration banquet. As one of the core researchers and shareholders, I was naturally among the center of attention. At the climax of the banquet, David mentioned my name in particular, expressing his gratitude for the tremendous impact I had brought to the company. Amid the thunderous applause, David personally stepped down from the stage and handed me a share transfer document along with the key to a beautifully crafted apartment. It was a luxury apartment in a prime downtown location. On top of that, there was a generous year-end bonus. "Congratulations, George," David said with a smile. "You deserve this." After the banquet, I went alone to the apartment that had been awarded to me. Standing in front of the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, I looked out over the dazzling city lights below. I had completely freed myself from the chains of that absurd soap opera of a story and cut all ties with the disgraceful past. The future had arrived, brilliant and full of light. In the industry, everyone knows I hold Carolina in the palm of my hand. The day she became a movie queen, She kissed a male actor in front of everyone. She said, "Director Oscar Wong. I'm not very familiar with him outside of work, so please don't associate unrelated people with me. Thank you." As she wished, I withdrew from her world. Later, she knelt before me with reddened eyes, begging for my forgiveness. I laughed. "Isn't breaking up what you wanted? Now you've only lost your fame and fortune, but you've gained love." The spotlight shines on the award stage. In front of the crowd, a woman in a white dress gracefully walks up, with a perfect smile on her face. "I am very grateful to someone who has accompanied me every step of the way to where I am today." I couldn't hide the smile on my face. The person on stage is my girlfriend. In 3 years, I have nurtured her from an unknown rookie actress to a household name and a movie queen. Loving someone is like tending to a flower. I gave her the best nutrients, and she has grown into my proudest achievement. The only thing that makes me unhappy is that my girlfriend refused my public proposal, citing her career. Listening to her speech, is she finally going to make our relationship public today? He is my mentor, my friend, and someone indispensable in my growth. He is Paul. My smile froze as I watched my movie queen girlfriend, holding the trophy, confess her love to another actor with deep affection. Someone asked, "Miss Carolina, it is said that you have always relied on the support of director Oscar Wong. Is there any truth to the rumors about your close relationship?" She wore an innocent smile, and firmly replied word by word, "Director Oscar Wong. I'm not very familiar with him outside of work, so please don't associate unrelated people with me. Thank you." 3 years of meticulous care and companionship, all denied by one casual sentence from her mouth. My mind was in a fog as I groggily returned home. After sitting alone for a long time, I fell asleep. The next day, I woke up and checked my phone. The number of messages was so overwhelming that it caused a lag. Although Carolina never publicly disclosed our relationship, I never hid it from my friends in the industry. Now, after this incident, they all sent their condolences. I rubbed my still red eyes and replied to each one, "Don't worry, I'm fine." I rejected my friend's suggestion to blacklist Carolina and stated that we have nothing to do with each other anymore. If we meet her in the future, just handle things professionally. After replying to the messages, I splashed some cool tap water on my face and took a deep breath. I, Oscar, have always been able to pick up and let go, love fiercely and move on ruthlessly. When I first set my eyes on Carolina, I went against my friend's advice and insisted on grooming her. Today, I accept what has happened. It's just a stumble. After falling, I can get up, dust myself off, and keep moving forward. I deleted Carolina from my contacts on WeChat and blocked all her communication channels. From yesterday until now, she hasn't sent me a single message. Of course, I don't need her to. After arranging the audition time at the Film City with my assistant, I tidied up and left. The Film City was bustling, with some people casting curious glances. Having heard the rumors, I ignored them all and quickly arrived at the set. After graduating, I became a director. With my talent and family resources, I quickly became a renowned director whose films always hit. My assistant came over with her phone, showing me a new post. Carolina's official account posted, "Thank you all for your concern. Even though Jasmine and South City Storm are filming at the same time, I will work hard on both. This is my first collaboration with Paul since our announcement. Please support us." At the end of the post, she tagged the official accounts of both productions. My assistant had a subtle expression. "Jasmine is a project Carolina just accepted, and South City Storm is the film I'm currently shooting. For the past 3 years, without exception, Carolina has always been my leading actress." Her post implies that she still thinks I'll let her continue as the leading actress in South City Storm. I shrugged and told my assistant, "It doesn't matter. Let her post whatever she wants. We'll pick our actors and shoot our film." Honestly, I'm curious. Why does Carolina think that after what she said at the awards ceremony yesterday, I would still treat her as I did before? Do I look like some kind of fool who enjoys being cheated on? The audition for the female lead and Carolina's Facebook post were released one after another, quickly attracting a large number of sharp-nosed journalists. While I went outside for some fresh air, cameras were thrust in my face. Miss Carolina has publicly announced that she will be the female lead in South City Storm. Why is the audition still ongoing? If the female lead is already decided, isn't continuing the audition a waste of everyone's time? The intentionally provocative questions caused the auditioning actors to hesitate. I stopped, looked coldly at the reporter, and asked, "Do you know who I am?" He instinctively took a step back and lowered his voice. "Is that even a question, Director Oscar? Then let me ask you, what is this place?" "Well, this is." He realized the implication and lowered his head. I smiled, looking at the eager team of reporters ready to jump in, and said loudly, "I am the director. This is my crew, my territory. I make the decisions. Everything is done according to my rules. Are you trying to teach me how to do my job?" I added pointedly, "If you have nothing to do, Go home and rest. Stop trying to stir up big news. When I returned to the crew and checked my phone, a Facebook post popped up. Paul, spending time with the one you love is a joy. Today, I hope Carolina spends more time with me. So please don't disturb her with irrelevant people and things. The attached photo showed Carolina smiling as she fed a grape to Paul's mouth. I was speechless. They clearly understood how to leverage this hot topic. While I was the one being disturbed, they acted like innocent victims, stirring up gossip. What a bunch of nauseating people. The trending topic continued to ferment, and everyone wanted to know who the female lead of my new movie would be. That night, Carolina started a live stream. She happily interacted with her fans at first, but midway through, she frowned when someone asked in the comments, "Carolina, aren't you going to be the female lead in South City Storm? Why are the auditions still ongoing?" Her eyes slightly narrowed as she smiled and said, "The normal process has to be completed," Oscar told me. She stopped mid-sentence as if realizing something, then closed her mouth, acting as if she had to keep a secret. Carolina's hesitant demeanor made the audience more excited. Convinced that my audition was just a formality, the audition was unaffected by them. Whenever someone nosy asked, I would close my black notebook and reply with a half smile, "Why don't you take the director's seat and make the decisions?" I didn't respond directly, but Carolina took my silence as consent, becoming more confident and frequently appearing in public with Paul. First, they were spotted together at the airport, then on a food street in Sanya. In paparazzi photos, the two of them walked on the golden beach in swimwear, smiling at each other under the sunlight. Fans were thrilled, calling them a once-in-a-century perfect couple. In 2 days, Carolina and Paul capitalized on the attention, receiving numerous endorsements and scripts. My audition lasted 3 days. At this critical moment, I chose an unexpected, completely unknown girl as the actress. On the 3rd day, as I looked at the girl with sparkling eyes behind the curtain, her face lightly flushed like the first rays of dawn, I immediately decided that she would be the female lead in South City Storm. After 3 days of holding back, my assistant couldn't wait to post on Facebook, "Welcome the lead actress to the South City Storm family. Work starts tomorrow at Lee." The audience, who had been eagerly waiting, rushed to see the post and were stunned when they saw who was tagged. They started discussing, "It's not Carolina. Who is this? Do you know her?" Feeling deceived, they flooded Carolina's Facebook, demanding an explanation. Soon, she went live again, with red-rimmed eyes. Carolina sincerely apologized to the camera. "I'm sorry for disappointing everyone. I understand Oscar's choice if he thinks I'm not good enough. I just hope he isn't still angry." Paul gently patted her shoulder, sighing after she spoke, looking utterly aggrieved. Everything was implied without being said. On one side was a movie queen, and on the other, an unknown girl who had only played extras before. The audience, thinking they understood the truth, became furious. "Stop being angry. Was Carolina wronged by the director's backdoor dealings? This is so unfair." My assistant, sitting on a wooden stool on the set, turned green with anger and said, "We were too busy with the auditions to respond, and now they're stirring up trouble and playing the victim. They really have no shame." Seeing him rolling up his sleeves, ready to fight back, I couldn't help but laugh. This only made him angrier. "You're laughing. You should have crushed them 3 days ago." I spread my hands. "This is free publicity. Why turn it down? If we missed this, we'd have to spend our own money on promotion later." Putting aside other factors, I'm still grateful for the drama they caused. South City Storm hasn't even started filming yet, but it's already widely known. Anyone with a phone knows about the show. All right, you're the director. Can I hit back at them now?" My assistant waved his phone in front of me. I nodded. His eyes lit up. The next second, he started yelling again. "Ah, who posted before me? Let me see. Isabel, isn't that Sophia?" At his words, everyone looked at the girl in the corner. She innocently looked up and blinked. "Did we have a rule against posting on Facebook?" The assistant was speechless. "No." I watched them with a smile and pulled out my phone to check Facebook. Sophia, the lead actress I selected, might look soft, but she's quite the fighter. In just a few minutes, she had already posted 18 Facebook updates. "Hello, Senior Carolina. Didn't you say our director had nothing to do with you? If it's not related, why mention Oscar? Who are you, anyway? When did the director ever say he was going to cast you in his new film? What obligation does he have to choose you? Is the director your daddy?" Each Facebook post tagged Carolina and provided evidence. The fans went quiet and retreated. This girl is fierce, really putting her in her place. 10 minutes passed with no response from Carolina or Paul. I was engrossed, shaking my head in disbelief. It's strange why I ever liked someone like that. A voice came from beside me. What's strange about it? Even ancient heroes struggled to resist beautiful women. I realized Sophia was still nearby. She smiled. Although I don't think she's a beauty. Maybe director Oscar just had a moment of weakness. I twitched slightly and reminded her, I'm your boss. So. Keep talking, and I'll dock your pay. Fine. You win. Just then, an unknown call came to my phone. I raised an eyebrow. This number was private, known to few. It could only be. I answered the call, and there was silence on the other end. Wrong number. If you don't speak, I'm hanging up. The other person panicked, and a familiar voice spoke. Oscar, do we have to do this? Sure enough, it was Carolina. What way? She hesitated, then softened her tone, sounding like she used to when we were together. Even if we can't be together, can't we at least be friends? I couldn't help but laugh. Be friends? Friends? What kind of relationship do we have now? What do you mean, even if we can't be together? You make it sound like I was your simp, always failing to win you over. So now I'm angry seeing you with someone else. Please. This is cheating. Carolina, if you want to continue enjoying the benefits I used to provide, just say so. Do you think playing the role of a benevolent person is clever? Carolina, let me be clear, remember this. I'm openly threatening you now. The reason I haven't publicly destroyed you is not because I'm magnanimous, but because I want to make your downfall more spectacular. Got it? If so, get ready. Carolina's voice turned sharp. Let me tell you, Paul is the son of the president of the Wong Group. You can't beat him. Before I could reply, a soft female voice beside me spoke gently. Brother, are you still on the phone? I've been waiting for you. There was a brief silence on the other end, followed by an explosion. Who's there with you? Oscar, you betrayed me. I rubbed my ear, speechless, and hung up. When she called back, I blocked the number. After finishing all these actions, I looked at Sophia. Nice acting. You really have a knack for this. Sophia smiled. Of course. I shook my head in resignation. Just as I was about to leave, I remembered something. Paul is the son of the president of the Wong Group. How come I didn't know this? Thinking it over, I pulled out my phone and sent a message. Dad, do you have an illegitimate son? As soon as I returned to the set, my assistant came over with his phone. He looked extremely upset, as if he had swallowed 100 flies. I stopped, amused, and asked, what did Carolina post this time? He showed me the phone. Thank you all for your concern. I want to focus more on my work and improve my acting skills. Please don't pay attention to other matters and look forward to my new works. The picture was a sweet photo of her and Paul. My assistant's face turned green again as he said, she has the nerve to talk about acting. It was all thanks to you. He paused and then added, luckily, you finally gave up on her. The filming of South City Storm progressed smoothly. It's a spy drama, and the female lead, Sophia, is an ordinary person who gets involved in a mission. Once she understands its importance, she decisively cooperates. In front of the camera, her eyes conveyed layered emotions. The retreat born from fear constantly struggled with her good intentions, which then evolved into an unyielding resolve driven by her anger towards evil. This deep internal struggle and complex emotional transition deeply moved the viewers. I couldn't help but sigh again. Comparing acting skills is indeed a futile exercise. On Carolina's end, she and Paul frequently posted set photos and interactions, attracting a large number of CP fans. The previous incidents were gradually forgotten. In interviews, Carolina continued to smile sweetly. Director Oscar said his female lead has talent. Miss Carolina, do you think you have talent? She tilted her head slightly, covering her mouth as if embarrassed. Well, why not? Watching the interview, our whole team laughed. Meanwhile, Carolina's fans celebrated, challenging Sophia to a showdown through their works. This time, Sophia only posted 4 words in response. As you wish. The film took 8 months to shoot, and by the time it was scheduled for release, nearly a year had passed. During this period, Carolina's fans constantly brought up the competition between the two films, generating plenty of buzz. She and Paul also frequently posted set photos, steadily growing their CP fanbase. Sophia, on the other hand, stayed focused. Every time I saw her, she was either studying her script or consulting with senior actors. Finally, the movie release day arrived, strategically planned. Both films premiered on the same day. A large audience first flocked to see Carolina's Jasmine. Reviews came in quickly. Some remained silent for a long time before tentatively asking, am I the only one who thinks it's bad? The response was immediate agreement. What kind of acting is this? The lead's face is so stiff, you'd think it was AI. She didn't capture the essence of the pure white Jasmine at all. Is this what they call a movie queen? Some stubborn CP fans defended. What's wrong with it? The chemistry between the leads is sweet. I loved it. But even this voice was soon drowned out by criticism. Meanwhile, South City Storm, the film everyone doubted from the start, made a comeback. The lead actress Sophia portrayed innocence when facing the mafia, and then displayed immense determination when taking on her mission. In the climactic scene where she sacrifices herself, her eyes turned slightly red as she declared she had no regrets. The tear that never fell vanished as she closed her eyes forever. The audience was thrilled. Prepared media accounts quickly spliced together scenes of the two actresses' performances. They titled it, "The Difference in Acting Skills Between a Movie Queen and a Newcomer." Sophia reposted her previous forward Facebook, directly responding with, "Thank you for yielding." These few words sent her new fans into a frenzy. Unquestionably, Carolina was utterly defeated in this battle. She responded with one line, "I don't think I did anything wrong." The next day, rumors emerged that Paul was the son of the Wong Group president. The person involved didn't respond directly, but instead posted photos of himself and Carolina on a luxury trip, driving a fancy car. To onlookers, this was a tacit acknowledgement. Carolina's crisis was quietly diverted, and CP fans affectionately started calling Paul the Crown Prince and Carolina the Crown Princess. These titles were so cringeworthy that I felt like digging a hole and disappearing. I turned to see my most talkative assistant and Sophia, both looking mildly worried. Sophia asked, "Is his father really the president of the Wong Group? Are we going to be beaten just because they bring in the big guns?" I couldn't help but laugh as I reassured them, "Don't worry, I know President Wong. He's got a good temper and wouldn't do such a thing." As soon as I finished speaking, my phone rang. I walked to the corner and answered. A robust voice started yelling on the other end, "Are people blind nowadays? How do I look anything like him? You brat. Why didn't you tell me about this sooner? No wonder you asked if I had an illegitimate child last time. I can't believe my good intentions were taken for granted. If I had known it would come to this, I would have put my foot down earlier." The voice was so loud it made my ears itch. I held the phone away and rubbed my ear while he continued ranting. "No way. I'm going to prove it on Facebook right now." I quickly stopped him. "Hey, Dad, wait, don't rush. I have a plan." The old man was even more annoyed. "What plan? Don't you see they're starting to slander you?" I fell silent. The public opinion was intense, and those people were attacking the South City Storm crew just to support their so-called crown prince. It seemed even a passing dog would get cursed. I softened my tone. "Don't worry, I won't let myself suffer." The old man wasn't happy. "You better not. If you can't handle it, come home. You could have just taken it easy, but you had to be a director." He muttered a few more complaints and then hung up. I looked at my phone, a smile slowly forming. Meanwhile, Carolina, taking advantage of the situation, secured several more scripts and endorsements. Curious people calculated their schedules, noting that they were fully booked for the next year. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "See, I told you I chose the right person." I could almost see Carolina's smug face through the screen. I replied, "The higher you climb, the harder you fall." After sending the message, I immediately blocked the number, almost as if to spite me. As soon as I announced our new film would be a historical drama genre, Carolina immediately declared she had taken on a role in a historical drama too. Sophia hugged her script to her chest. She earnestly promised, "I won't let you lose. Just focus on the filming. I chose you for your talent." I paused my signing. "Don't worry about anything else." "Got it, boss." The girl smiled, waved her fists in the air, and turned to leave. True to her word, Sophia devoted herself to the filming even more seriously. Yet, she still found joy in engaging with others. Posting a behind-the-scenes clip. In the scattered fragments, she sat on a couch in a white plush cloak, her gaze filled with weakness and confusion. As the wind blew, her brow furrowed slightly, as if endless thoughts of longing were being pulled away from her. Her almond-shaped eyes narrowed, and she raised her hand as if to grasp something. At that moment, her consciousness faded with the wind, and her hand fell after a gentle grasp at the void. In the comments, Sophia's personality was completely different from her noble and cool demeanor in the clip. She didn't hide her intentions and directly tagged Carolina. She wrote, "Senior, are you working hard on your filming today, striving to match your example?" Though clearly sarcastic, it was hard to fault her words. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. On Carolina's end, there was no response for a long time, making her fans impatient and prompting them to urge her to respond. Eventually, some behind-the-scenes footage leaked out, but it turned out to be paparazzi shots. "One moment," she said, "this place is under my protection. Got it?" The next moment, a traitor's bronze sword pierced the female lead's chest. Her eyes widened in anger as she shouted loudly, "How could it be you?" The caption thoughtfully responded on Carolina's behalf. "Stop urging Miss Carolina to release behind-the-scenes footage. She really doesn't have any. The videos she shoots need another 2 days and nights of fine-tuning before they can be seen." Everyone fell silent after watching it. They suddenly remembered the fear of Carolina's stiff performance in Jasmine a while ago. Her fans were collectively stunned, unable to defend her. They looked at Sophia's behind-the-scenes clip and then at their own lead actress, whose stiffness resembled a 1,000-year-old monster, and shrank back. People began to discuss others' death scenes, the tear that never fell, hesitant words, finally closing their eyes. Our lead's death scene, spitting blood, eyes wide open, shouting to the sky, "How could it be you? Stop, it's really embarrassing." Under the opposing team's official Facebook, Netizens started questioning their casting choices. Carolina's official account responded, "There are always a few scenes where filming gets stuck. Please don't only focus on the worst moments." Just after this announcement was posted, someone released a clip of Carolina arguing with the director. Carolina toyed with her red-tipped fingers and sneered, "So what if my expressions are stiff? So what if I didn't cry? Can't they fix it in post-production? If I have to do everything perfectly, what are they there for? I've always acted like this. If even Oscar could handle it, why can't you?" These few sentences revealed so much that netizens were stunned. A comment appeared, "What do you mean you've always acted like this? I used to praise her acting." Seeing the netizens start to support me, saying I've borne too much, I smiled and told my assistant to begin the next step. I didn't want to see this annoying person jumping around in front of me every day. All the raw video clips from her past shoots were released by various accounts. For example, the sensual bathing scene in the lake, with unedited footage showing her elbows awkwardly placed, like a puppet on strings. The ethereal and agile back view, which turned out to be a stand-in. Her dramatic reactions to wire work, where I, as the director, had to personally guide her step by step. The before and after comparisons made it clear what Carolina truly was and how much I had done for her. As everyone realized how terrible her acting was, all the scripts she had received were withdrawn. Producers claimed they didn't have the skills to handle such a great star. Netizens began to question, if Carolina is this bad, why did director Oscar still support her? With that effort, he could have made several more films. Could this be love? Remember at the awards ceremony, Carolina denied any relationship with director Oscar. After that, they went their separate ways. Netizens dug deeper and almost uncovered every detail of my private life. I sighed, patted my face, and once again blamed myself for being a poor judge of character. In the midst of my public humiliation, Sophia posted on Facebook, "Everyone has a past. Let's not dwell on it." Director Oscar said he values the future more. As a victim, netizens seemed to realize something after reading her post and agreed, that's right. They started to curse Carolina. "Dirty thing, stay away and protect our director Oscar. Director Oscar has nothing to do with this person, don't spread falsehoods." Carolina's reputation was ruined. Her integrity was questioned, and her acting skills were inadequate. Soon, the award committee announced a review of her accolades. As a result, she lost all the honors she had gained in 3 years. At this critical moment, she changed her phone number and sent me a message. "I haven't lost. It's just the entertainment industry. Once I become the daughter-in-law of the Wong family, I won't need to work." I looked at the invitation to the Wong Group's 60th anniversary gala in my hand and shook my head. Is it really like that? I doubt it. With her endorsements and scripts gone, although the company hadn't terminated her contract, Carolina was essentially unemployed and almost blacklisted. She decided to drop the pretense and became an internet wife, publicly showing off her love with Paul. She posted 2 Facebook updates. "Paul is preparing our wedding. We're about to attend the Wong Group's 60th anniversary gala. Have you ever seen such an event?" Coincidentally, the Wong Group announced that this year's gala would allow some media journalists to participate. From Carolina's perspective, Paul was supporting her and promoting their wedding. In the lounge, I knocked on the door before entering. The moment she saw me, Sophia's face lit up, reminding me of the proud tuxedo cat I used to pet at the park. "Director Oscar, it's rare for you to visit." I smiled and handed her the invitation. "I happen to need a date. Miss Sophia, would you be willing?" Sophia opened the invitation and read aloud, her tone rising with excitement, "The Wong Group's 60th anniversary gala. You're going too?" "Yes, and there's going to be quite a show." I nodded. "So, Miss Sophia." Before I could ask again, she placed her hand in my upturned palm. Her eyes sparkled with joy, her mouth unable to hide a smile, yet she pretended to be aloof, tilting her chin up. "Then I reluctantly agreed to be your date." The gala arrived quickly. The Wong Group released a statement that they would announce an important matter at the event, revealing the identity of the president's son, who had been the subject of much discussion. Carolina was certain it was Paul and was extremely pleased. At the gala, as soon as Sophia and I got out of the car, we ran into Carolina waiting at the entrance. Her eyes widened as if she had been deeply betrayed. You. Sophia, with a faint smile, placed her soft hand on my arm, her cheek close to my shoulder. She blinked at Carolina. "Senior Carolina, why are you stopping me and my boyfriend?" "Boyfriend?" Sophia nodded naturally. "Yes." Carolina's expression changed multiple times as more people gathered around. She looked at us angrily. "How can you do this to me? What does she have that I don't?" She grabbed my arm, but I immediately pulled away. Even so, she put on a deeply wronged look, proving she still had some acting skills. At that moment, a slightly mocking voice called out, "Oscar, you came too." I turned and saw Paul approaching, arm in arm with a middle-aged woman, looking calm. There's no need for your concern, Wang family heir Paul, I replied with a playful smile, locking eyes with him. He blinked uncomfortably but quickly composed himself, saying, "You can laugh now, but once you step inside, you'll see who the real clown is." As he spoke, he stroked his smooth chin as if twirling a non-existent mustache. I shook my head and looked at the woman beside him. She was dressed plainly, her cotton blouse faded, her pants slightly rolled up as if they had been washed countless times. Her makeup was very light, and her face showed signs of aging, with her hair disheveled and eyes darting around nervously but shining with excitement. She was undoubtedly the person my father had mentioned. Before I could speak, Paul wrapped an arm around Carolina's shoulder, looking affectionate. "Carolina, sorry for the delay. Today is a very important day, so I brought my mother. I hope you don't mind the sudden meeting." "Of course not." Carolina immediately leaned against Paul, looking demure. She turned to the woman. "Auntie, nice to meet you. I'm your son's girlfriend." "He must have mentioned me." The woman nodded. "Girlfriend, huh?" "Girlfriend." Then fell silent, staring ahead. The atmosphere turned awkward. Unexpectedly, Paul suddenly changed the topic loudly. "I know you can't let go of Carolina, but please stop pestering us. How did you even follow us here? This isn't a place for your antics." His words drew many eyes to us. Before I could retort, Sophia spoke up loudly. "Do you have any shame? Can't control your girlfriend, stopping us at the entrance, openly flirting with my boyfriend in front of me. Are you sick? There are so many security guards here. Should I ask them?" Before Paul could reply, Sophia pulled an unwilling security guard into the fray. "Brother, don't be afraid. Tell the truth. Everyone's watching. They won't do anything to you. The Wang family can't bully people in broad daylight. There's surveillance here. If they dare twist the truth, our director will back you up and bring them down." I scratched my head, feeling helpless. Was she trying to expose me? The security guard, seemingly encouraged by her words, steadied his gaze. "Mr. Paul, it's indeed your girlfriend who has been harassing them." The crowd buzzed with whispers, and Paul was momentarily speechless, stammering you, unable to form a complete sentence. I said, "Paul, I advise you, if you're unsure about something, don't speak too soon. If you're uncertain, investigate and verify first, or else." Before I could finish, there was a loud slap. Paul's mother, her face full of anger, had struck Carolina. "I despise people like you who are unfaithful and disloyal. Please, Auntie, listen to me." "It's not as they say," Carolina pleaded. The scene became chaotic. Sophia winked at me and said to them teasingly, "You guys catch up. We're heading in." Bye. Inside, Sophia was still beaming, her invisible tail practically wagging. "Are you that happy?" I asked, curious. "Of course," she hummed. "I told you, I wouldn't let you lose." So her earlier words had this meaning too. I couldn't help but smile, gently tapping her head. "What are you thinking about all the time?" She pouted slightly, holding her head, but quickly smiled again. We gradually moved away from the chaos, walking further and further away. "Hey, I said you were my boyfriend just now. You won't be mad, right?" "No." The gala soon began. From afar, I saw Carolina looking disheveled, her face bearing a handprint. But she seemed to have calmed down, sitting with a cold expression next to Paul and his mother. Paul sat in the middle, looking hopeful despite his melancholy, while Carolina blushed and stared at her phone. Moments later, I received a text message. "How could you humiliate and betray me like this, Oscar? Do you have no heart? Just wait, today I'll make sure you pay back 100-fold. Sophia, standing beside me, waved her hand in front of my face, displeased. "Wow. Director Oscar seems to care a lot about her," she said casually. "Do you want me to bring her over so you can talk?" I stared at her, making her turn away in slight embarrassment. Then I smiled and replied, "No need, I'm just watching a show." Halfway through the event, the host announced, "Next up, we have our group's president, Wang, who will announce something important." Paul's eyes lit up instantly, staring intently at the host. He put his arm around Carolina, his gaze intense and his body trembling slightly with a mix of anticipation and nervousness. A spirited middle-aged man strode onto the stage, taking the microphone from the host. He cleared his throat, his eyes bright, and began speaking without any preamble. "Recently, I've noticed a lot of media coverage about my son, and this has been gaining more and more attention. So today, I've invited the key person involved in this matter here." He looked down at the audience, casting a playful glance at Paul, who returned the gaze with fervor, unaware of any impending trouble. The president continued, "I'm sure everyone is curious about my son's identity. He is Under the gaze of the crowd, Paul held his mother's hand. The old man paused for a moment, building suspense, before saying 3 words. Oscar. A spotlight suddenly shone on me. The nonchalance on Sophia's face vanished as she stared at me in shock. Carolina's neck stiffened as she slowly turned to look in my direction. Paul's face turned pale as he stared incredulously at his mother. And that woman, her face suddenly contorted in anger, stood up and yelled, "You heartless man, ingrate! You won't even acknowledge your own son. A tiger doesn't eat its cubs, but listen to him, everyone, is he even human?" She tried to rush the stage, but the prepared police restrained her. She struggled violently, shouting, "I raised our son with great difficulty. He worked so hard to earn your recognition, and you still consider him worthless." The president nodded to the host, and the big screen behind him began playing surveillance footage. The first clip showed a servant banging on the master bedroom door in the middle of the night, shouting, "Mr. Wong, open up. Don't you love me anymore? Didn't you say you'd marry me? How can you marry someone else?" She clutched a knife, frantically scratching the door until the police arrived and took her away. The second clip was a series of scenes showing the same servant repeatedly being driven away by security from the mansion gates. The third clip, 2 years later, showed her holding a newborn baby, smiling manically. "Mr. Wong, this is our son. Won't you acknowledge him?" After the videos, the president explained. It turned out that Paul's mother suffered from severe delusions. In her younger years, she worked as a servant for the Wong family and fantasized about an intimate relationship with the president. This was initially just in her mind, but on the day of the president's wedding, her symptoms worsened. The father had tried to get her medical help, but she was never fully cured. The doctor said that as long as she stayed around the Wong family, her condition would only worsen, and indeed, her episodes became more frequent, blurring her grasp on reality. Eventually, she stole a baby from somewhere and convinced herself that it was her son with the president. In her delusion, the president was a heartless man who had abandoned her and their child. She raised her son with the belief that he would one day prove himself, and she instilled these ideas in him from a young age, leading Paul to firmly believe in this false reality, resulting in today's farce. The president also presented a paternity test report and a series of medical records and diagnoses. The crowd murmured, casting strange looks at Paul and Carolina. "I thought Paul was the heir to the group, but who would have thought he was a clown? Carolina can't act. What will she do now? Resort to selling sob stories?" Paul's face turned ashen, his lips trembling, unable to say a word. Carolina looked at me with a mix of resentment and regret. Staring motionlessly, I smiled, slowly stood up, and walked to the stage. "Hello everyone. Tonight I'd like to introduce myself with a new identity. I am Oscar, the legitimate son and the only son of President Wong. I urge those with mental health issues to seek treatment as soon as possible. Now, please, leave." I pointed to the door. "Do I need to personally escort you out?" The group was thrown out amidst gasps and whispers. The woman, who had been cursing and struggling, suddenly went silent when Paul slapped her. Tears filled her eyes. The doors closed again, and tonight was my night. The party had ended. Sophia went to the restroom, leaving me to wait for her by the door. As I stepped outside, I saw Carolina rushing over and kneeling in front of me. Her eyes were bloodshot, like she was clutching at her last lifeline. "Oscar, you still love me, right? Can we get back together? I was wrong. Please, let us go back to how we were. I truly know I was wrong, and I won't ever do it again. Wasn't breaking up what you wanted? Now you've just lost your reputation, but you've gained love, Carolina. For 3 years, I nurtured a flower. I painstakingly fertilized, watered, and protected it from pests every day. It bloomed beautifully, thinking this was its natural state, but it forgot that it was its roots absorbing the nutrients, and the one nourishing those roots was me. One day, it was cut from the stem and taken away. It was proud, thinking it had finally escaped its ugly roots and could reach greater heights. But it forgot that without its roots, it couldn't survive long. Carolina, I despise you, but don't get me wrong. I don't hate you for betraying me. I hate your betrayal for being so foolish. Your foolishness made me look incredibly foolish. How could I have been so blind to nurture such a weed?" Sophia emerged just in time, suddenly clinging tightly to my arm, speaking in a mocking tone. "Why is my sister kneeling, now that she can't be Mrs. Wong? Is she here to find a sugar daddy?" I lifted my eyes slightly and glanced at Carolina, then turned and walked away with Sophia. She froze, staggering to her feet. She tried to follow me, but the security quickly restrained her. A desperate scream echoed behind me. "Oscar, look at me." I turned to glance at her, seeing the hope in her eyes. I spat harshly into the flowerbed by the path. Then I turned and walked straight ahead. Later, due to the severe impact of this incident, Paul and his foster mother were condemned by the entire internet, and he was completely blacklisted. His spirit ultimately shattered under the weight of lies and reality. Not long after, news broke that he had killed his foster mother before committing suicide, and Carolina never appeared in the public eye again. The most widespread rumor was that she tried to clear her name but ended up being swindled out of all her assets by a scam group. She eventually ended up on the streets, dying of depression. Those who treat true hearts as worthless will eventually suffer the consequences. Sophia's side story. Sophia had known about Oscar, her senior, for a long time. He was a famous genius during his school days. Unfortunately, by the time she enrolled, Oscar was already interning and rarely came back to school, so she never had the chance to meet him. Later, Sophia followed Oscar into the entertainment industry and discovered her long-admired senior Oscar already had a girl by his side. The girl had an innocent smile, and the love in Oscar's eyes for her seemed genuine. Sophia felt heartbroken but chose to respect Oscar's choice. Just when she was about to give up, she discovered the girl Oscar cherished so much didn't deserve his love at all. Carolina was arrogant, didn't hone her acting skills, and took advantage of Oscar's love recklessly. Sophia was furious and heartbroken for Oscar. She decided to bide her time, diligently improving her acting skills, and cherishing every opportunity to practice. Even as an extra, a girl like Carolina would reveal her true colors sooner or later. She couldn't stay by Oscar's side forever. Sophia encouraged herself secretly, keeping an eye on their every move. Her acting skills improved rapidly, and directors began offering her scripts. She refused many, still choosing roles that allowed her to practice while staying close to Oscar. The opportunity soon came. One day, Carolina, holding the Best Actress trophy, confessed her love to Paul in public. Sophia watched Oscar, feeling heartbroken. The light in Oscar's eyes was gone, as if he might shatter at any moment. She bit her lip and began to doubt herself. If she had told Oscar earlier, would he be less sad? She wanted Oscar to be happy. Fortunately, Oscar recovered mostly by the next day. Finally, she had the chance to stand in front of Oscar confidently. "Hello, Director Oscar. I'm actress Sophia." Extra Chapter 02. Sophia feared they might rekindle their old flame, but fortunately, Oscar was resolute. Having the chance to spend every day with Oscar, she was overjoyed and secretly tried to treat him well. The first strawberry milk tea of autumn was bought for Oscar. Afraid he might notice something, Sophia bought milk tea for everyone in the crew and finally handed the special one with extra strawberries to Oscar. "Sometimes you should try something you haven't had before," she smiled and told Oscar. Their distance gradually closed. Someone badmouthed Oscar. That couldn't be tolerated. She immediately fired back. Carolina tried to bully Oscar. No way. She had to work harder. She even gave up playing games and stayed up late studying scripts. When she was chosen as the lead actress in Oscar's new drama for the second time, Sophia's heart almost jumped out. She seriously said, "I won't let you lose." These words carried her little secret. She wouldn't let him lose this confrontation, nor would she let Oscar lose to Carolina. She heard Paul was the president of the Wong Group, but Sophia didn't care. She wanted to be on the same front as Oscar, fearless of anything. She didn't expect Oscar to attend the party too. When he showed up in the lounge with an invitation, Sophia almost jumped up. "I happen to need a date, Miss Sophia. Would you do me the honor?" "Aha. Yes, I do. Oscar, I'll do anything you say." If it weren't for Oscar being here, Sophia felt she might throw off her shoes and dance barefoot, doing 2 hours of ballet and spinning 100 circles. Too happy. But in front of Oscar, she had to be reserved. She could only hold back, place her hand in Oscar's, lift her chin, and say, "Then I'll reluctantly agree to be your date." This way, he wouldn't notice her little thoughts. Right. Wait, does it seem a bit too cold? Would he misunderstand? What if he misunderstands? Extra Chapter 03. Sophia's mind was spinning all the way. Being Oscar's date, appearing at the party together. Oh my, she wouldn't even dare dream of this. Just after getting out of the car, they bumped into the annoying Carolina. Sophia's alarm went off. Seeing Oscar do nothing, she mustered the courage to hold Oscar's arm and started in a mocking tone. "Senior, why are you stopping me and my boyfriend?" "Boyfriend? Oh, look at that ugly face turning green. So amusing." Sophia nodded naturally. Yes, the ugly face was furious, saying, "It's like you're the only one with a boyfriend. So what if she had one? Why so smug?" Sophia happily waved to Carolina. "Then wait for your boyfriend outside. Senior, we're going in now." Bye. The best person was by her side. This was the light she had cherished for 6 years. What happened to others? She didn't care. "Are you that happy?" Oscar asked, and she answered without hesitation. "Of course. I told you, I won't let you lose." At such a sentimental moment, Oscar knocked on her head. So annoying. Angry for 2 seconds, she thought, "This is Oscar. Forget it." She chose to forgive him. "I just said you're my boyfriend. You're not angry, are you?" "No." Oscar was really the best. She would love him forever and ever. Extra Chapter 04. She thought she knew Oscar well enough, but Oscar turned out to be the hidden gem. He was actually the son of the president of the Oscar Group. He kept it hidden so well. She worried for so long. Sophia was angry for 3 seconds, then turned to see Oscar shining under the spotlight, and shamefully felt her heart flutter again. Forget it, forget it. Sophia had a big heart and wouldn't hold grudges against little Oscar, she told herself, her eyes sparkling, staring unblinkingly at Oscar. The party ended, and many reporters surrounded Oscar, just like they had surrounded Carolina a year ago. Someone asked about Carolina and Oscar's relationship. Oscar smiled politely and answered, "Please don't link unrelated people with me. Thank you. It would trouble me greatly." After answering, Oscar looked at her again. "Why aren't you leaving?" Sophia saw Carolina's pale face outside the crowd and smiled. So good. The bullet Carolina shot at Oscar a year ago finally returned to her. Her story with Oscar ended here. Now, it was her turn, right? Leaving the venue, Sophia still didn't let go of Oscar's hand. Oscar didn't say anything either. Under the streetlights, they walked side by side, moving farther and farther away.